And we're back. This is take two with my friend over here, Jeff Kober. Unreal. All right, let me get out of my own head. Episode 249 of the Brooklyn Blast Furnace podcast. With the amazing opportunity to speak with this gentleman. Thank you, Randy Shanofsky, for doing what you did in order for this to actually happen. Just to rattle off a few things that this gentleman has been in, by far not even close to all of them. We'll go back all the way to an episode of V, which I actually remember. Highway to Heaven, MacGyver, Falcon Crest, Alien Nation, The Amazing China Beach, The First Power. Your role in The First Power has stuck with me since 1990, since I've seen it. Tank Girl, The Baby Doll Murders, episodes of NYPD Blue, Walker, Texas Ranger, The Shield, which I feel is a very underrated and incredible show. The Walking Dead, one of my all-time favorite shows ever. Sons of Anarchy, episodes of Shameless, which is also up there. That show is just a complete shit show, obviously, because it's called Shameless. NCIS LA, I don't know, over 150 episodes of General Hospital. The movie Sully, which the actual events from the movie Sully took place a stone's throw from where I'm sitting right now. I mean, if I turn the computer over here and I open up my blinds, you can see the Verrazano Bridge. So it's really not that far away. So without further ado, we had a little technical difficulty. We were going for a few minutes, so I just had to repeat myself. Mr. Jeff Kober, how you doing, sir?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm getting over that embarrassing glitch, which I really had no control over.
You have no control over that, man.
I know. Maybe your meditation can help me out a little bit, because sometimes I'm a little high strung. Maybe sometimes
meditation could help anyone out. You don't even want to see me without meditation. It's not a pretty sight.
No.
No, the inside. It's Here's just to jump off acting for a moment.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you about this and your tintype photography as well.
Well, so what the world sells us is how to change the way we appear to others. And then it tells us if we look good, if we have everything lined up properly in the right life and everything, then we'll feel okay inside. But no one teaches you how to just look inside and go for the feeling itself. Change the way it feels to be you. And that's what meditation does. It's like it cuts out the middleman, because the idea that if I get enough shit over there, it's going to make me feel better over here. That's absurd.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you're as old as me, you've had enough experience to go like, yeah, that one doesn't work. Let's try something else. So.
Of course. Yeah. Well, before the glitch happened, we were saying that you're from Montana, but I was over the last few days, I was just going up, like, I'm familiar with the things that you've worked on and stuff like that. So, I just went to YouTube, and there's a couple of, like, I mean, they're a few years old and stuff, but there was like a whole, I guess you would say, like a seminar type thing where you're at a podium and you're talking about all this stuff. And you did mention, when you were younger and you didn't go into details, and I'm not asking you to get personal or anything like that. But from the outsider listening to you, I grew up in a nowhere, like a bad way. Like it was just bad, broken home, physically and verbally and mentally abusive father, stuff like that. And, there was a lot of alcohol and drugs involved and stuff like that. And that my parents had gotten divorced when I was young, probably about 10. And I went with my real father, and that was a whole shit show in and of itself. And then my mother got remarried to my stepfather, and my stepfather was very well-to-do, very well-off guy. And I went literally from like rags to riches, I guess you could say, but it never, none of that stuff. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, you know, it was nice to be able to get like the brand new sneakers so no one would make fun of me at school and have, you know, I had more than one pair of jeans, you know, but all of the marble floors and the crystal stuff and the cars and the boat and the summer house and all that stuff, it didn't really impress me. You know, a lot of my friends would be like, wow, you know, like, this is great. Like, and I'm not going to say it wasn't great because it was cool. But at the end of the day, I could take it or leave it, man. You know, so all that materialistic stuff, it never, ever resonated with me. I can care less about your diamond rings. I can care less about your bling nonsense. It doesn't make a difference to me at all. And I think what it really is absolutely how you feel about yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the question really comes up, you know, am I worthy of life? Am I worthy of love? And am I worthy of loving the world, loving someone else? You know, and you know, the truth is we all are, but you know, knowing that and feeling that are two completely different things.
Sure.
And you know, I came from a, oh no, you froze again.
You're
no.
okay on my end.
Oh, there, you're moving now.
No, you're okay on my end.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah, everything so far, everything is okay over here.
Okay, good. You know, when you're a kid, you think you're responsible for everything. So if your parents break up, you think you caused it. And you think you need to try to be better so that dad isn't mad or dad doesn't drink. And if only you were a better person, they wouldn't, you know, be having fights and all of that. And that's where you form your, you know, your idea of yourself, is when you're a kid. And so if you grow up in any kind of crummy surroundings, you're going to have a crummy idea of yourself as you grow older. And that doesn't just change because you want it to.
Right.
So,
you know, so did you have it rough as a kid, as like, you know,
emotionally, I mean, I had a perfectly lovely home. We were raised on a farm. You know, there was not a lot of happiness in our home. There was a real, it was like this German Lutheran work ethic of, you know, don't enjoy yourself too much because God's going to squash you.
Yeah.
You know, and and that brand of Lutheranism was just really kind of crushing. And then, you know, my father, he was a World War II veteran, you know, with problems, and you know, I learned how to milk early one morning when he hadn't come home from bowling the night before. And you know, I was like, I think 11 or 12 years old, and I didn't know how to milk. And my mother just said, well, you better figure it out.
Oh,
so
shit. Yeah.
I learned how to milk, you know, and so it was, and then, you know, and then I had, you know, I had tragedy in my life that took me down a whole other path for a long time. And
same here.
And I wouldn't trade any of it, because I am who I am today. And I really kind of love my life today. And I don't know which part of it would change if I took away anything from the past, if that were at all possible. I
Sure.
wouldn't change it.
Like that movie, The Butterfly Effect.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, you never know. Because I say the same thing. It's like, you know, I did stupid shit as a knucklehead kid growing up in Brooklyn, and the people that I was hanging out with, I did, you know, there was drugs and alcohol and the clubs and all the fights, the bar fight, all of that nonsense that so many people in my neighborhood went through. And then, you know, I like I said, I was mad at the world, and I wasn't even sure why.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It was just, I was on this mission, and I didn't know what the mission was, but I was just angry and just, I don't know. And then I guess, you know, as I got older, I wound up getting married. I mean, I'm divorced now, but we're super cool with each other. I have an awesome daughter. I was in the military. I was in the Air Force. I did stupid shit and got thrown out. So, but it's like, if I wouldn't have did this, that, and the other thing in the Air Force, then I would have stayed in. And then, but then if I would have stayed in, that's 9/11, and then that's I might not be here, and my daughter wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, sure.
you never know what little tiny thing you're going to change without your entire life being completely different.
Yeah.
So, but as I got older, listen, I'm 46 years old, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't get pissed off, because I get pissed off, you know what I mean? But it doesn't last very long. I'll just, some asshole, cuts me off or something. I'll call him something, not even out the window, just in the car. He won't even hear me. And then I'm over it once I'm past him. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, which is just normal living in the city and being a half a knucklehead now at this point in my life, So, but every day I really do. Like, my girlfriend will probably look at me like, yeah, right, you're always an asshole or whatever. But I try every day to be, I guess, better in some way. To
be the person you want to be.
Yeah.
When we go off, I used to go off on people a lot. And, it's the difference between New York and Los Angeles is you go off on someone in New York, you're probably going to have to deal with the consequences. In
100%.
We just drive away from each other.
No, not here. You're not going nowhere, especially like rush hour. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, you don't want to do that in New York.
You're stuck.
But it's like, but whenever I've gone off on somebody, it hasn't ever made me feel better. You're right. It's just practical, and it's there are spiritual reasons for that, but that maybe those will come up later in the conversation.
Tell I'm all in, man. I want to know. I want to pick your brain, man.
Here's the deal. There's a thing called non-duality.
Okay.
Advaita is the Sanskrit word for it, and it's that which has never been divided and can't be divided. It's one whole complete thing. And the Vedic perspective on life is that everything is an expression from one whole complete thing, just like waves on the ocean. There is the ocean, and then there are waves upon it, but the waves are not separate from the ocean.
Right.
They are just curved ocean. And the idea that the Veda presents is that consciousness is like the ocean. Everything is an expression from consciousness. So there is the ocean of pure being, and then there's the wave of activity on the surface of that ocean. Yeah. That's what I am. I'm a set of thoughts and feelings and ideas and opinions. And what I truly am is ocean, but I'm just up here for a moment, and then I disappear again and drop this body, and I'm ocean. Yeah. But waves, we're like waves that, get pissed off at each other, and say, you're a bigger wave than I am. Screw you. And, right. I'm a pretty wave. Look at me. And I'm faster than you. And all, it's like, it's absurd, because we're just going to crash against the shore and then be ocean again. Yeah. And so all that by way of saying, love your neighbor as yourself is not just a good idea. It's that you can't love your neighbor without loving yourself, nor can you hurt your neighbor without hurting yourself. Because for me to hurt you or yell at you is for me to be hurting or yelling at myself in a very real and practical fashion. It would be like me stubbing my toe and then using the other foot to stamp on my toe, telling it it's a bad toe.
Right.
It's not gonna, it's gonna make me hurt more.
Exactly. It's so true, man. It's so true.
So that's the spiritual reason behind that, is to, just try it out, yell at somebody and see how, you get the anger out of you for just a moment, but then you feel like, I don't feel better. I feel worse, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why.
It's just knee-jerk reactionary, no patience. Like, those are the things I know I need to work on.
Yeah, but that's also, that's just being human.
Mm-hmm.
And the great teachers that I've studied, they say that, we are absolutely human and we are absolutely divine or spirit. and that life is about falling back and forth between these two experiences.
Yeah.
And if someone meditates as long as, like I've meditated, it doesn't mean I don't have emotional reactions. It's that I don't take them so literally or personally.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's some anger, or whoa,
Yeah.
that one seemed to be upsetting, huh?
Mhm. It
But
sounds a little bit. It sounds a little bit like, what is it? The Bhagavad Gita.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fascinating example, because the Bhagavad Gita is, the whole thing is about Krishna telling Arjuna why he has to go to war
Right.
and kill his relatives.
Yes.
And this is God telling man why he has to kill his relatives. That, and Gandhi, the master of nonviolent protest and nonviolence, that was his favorite book. So,
Yeah.
figure that one out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, because I have a friend. Go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I have a friend of mine, John Joseph. He's a singer for a band over here, and he has a huge following. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he practices all that stuff, and that's how I know. But I'm going to butcher his name, but something Prabhupada. I don't know.
Prabhupada or something like
that.
Yes.
He quotes him a lot, and that's so I'm kind of familiar with that stuff just because I'm friends with him, and he posts all that kind of stuff and whatever. But that's the only reason why I'm really familiar. I never read the book or anything like that, but I'm kind of familiar with the gist, I guess you could say.
Well, it's probably the prime version of Vedic truth that most people know. And what it speaks about how to be human, and it makes the point that don't stop being human. Your behavior will change as your behavior changes. What matters is that you move in the direction of knowing the truth of yourself.
Right.
And the truth of yourself is that what you are is perfect, whole, and complete. Nothing that's ever been done to you can change that. Nothing you've ever done can change that. That truth of you remains solid always. And meditation is just a way to get in touch with that truth of you, instead of being pulled here and there by the partial pieces of you, the changing pieces of you, the ones that, your opinions, which are different now than they were 10 years ago, and your body, which is different now than it was 10 years ago, and your history, which has 10 years more attached to it now.
Sure. Yeah. Well, who would have ever thought that I would be sitting here having a spiritual conversation and getting all deep with somebody like Patrick Channing? You know what I mean? I sure as shit never thought this would happen.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I think it's great, man. So now you were saying because before the glitch happened, we were talking about my accent, and you said that that I sound like I'm talking like it happened, a couple miles away. The true story.
Brooklyn comes along with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Brooklyn walks into the room.
Yeah, 100%. My nickname in the Air Force was Brooklyn. Go figure. I don't know. Huh. Yeah, it was Brooklyn. What are you doing? What am I doing? What are you doing? So you were saying that your first paid role was the Big Bad Wolf, and then there was something that you couldn't really say.
I was the Big Bad Wolf, and Harrison Ellenshaw was the director of Red Riding Hood that was being made for the Disney Channel.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the lines was, "Forget it." And I would say, "Forget it." And
your Montana was coming out.
And they would come over and go, "You said forget it." I said, "Yeah, that's what's in the script." They said, No, you said forget it." "Yeah, that's what's in the." No, you're supposed to say forget it. Okay, let's go again. Forget it. I couldn't do it.
Do you know how I would be? It would be a mess. I'd be like, forget about it. Forget it. Come on.
Exactly.
Oh, that's hilarious. When you did that, that was your first paid gig, huh?
Yeah. Actually, I did a role before that that I got free hamburgers for.
Hey, listen,
Um,
that's some kind of a pay.
that's worth something. But
Yeah.
they were the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce was giving an award to the best upkept store on Hollywood Boulevard. This was back when Hollywood Boulevard was like just crappy, and
Yeah.
then they were giving an award of shame to the funkiest storefront in Hollywood.
Nice.
And Fredericks of Hollywood, which is this
I
laundry
remember
list
that place. I
area.
remember the catalog.
Yeah, so they painted the outside of it just this garish purple, and they were getting the award for best kept store in Hollywood, best most upgraded. And then there was a biker bar called The Nest, and there
Mm.
were usually really you know, challenged people hanging around outside it. And they wanted to make sure that there were some winos there for the news cameras. So me and a couple other guys got hired to be winos, and you know, I went out and got some Mad Dog 2020. I don't know if it's
Nice. I know.
you know,
I'm very familiar, unfortunately, but
you
yes.
know, I drank some and poured some on me, so I smelled bad, and I, you know, a nun who worked at a recovery space downtown gave me her card and said I could come down and clean up, you know. So, you know, I got a good review from
You
her.
did. You killed it. You killed that role, man. That's awesome. Oh, that's hilarious. But listen, you did a good job and you got paid with hamburgers. Did you have to
Yeah.
pay for the Mad Dog 2020?
Well, yeah, that was my own personal preparation.
Oh,
I brought my
okay.
own wardrobe. Yeah, it was all
Oh,
me.
okay. I was gonna say, listen, if they bought you that too, listen, you won.
Yeah, no.
No. Do you remember what year that was about?
That was like wow, that was like 1982 maybe,
Okay,
80.
because V was like
Like that.
84 or something.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was my first Screen Actors Guild job. Yeah. So I
Nice.
got my card for that one. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, man, the visiting officer you were, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
Yeah. I
visiting.
was and I worked with Jane Badler, who was the actress, who was the star of that.
And that was the first one. And that's how you got your card. That's cool. And
Yeah.
then I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I was looking at your IMDb and stuff like that, but then you were on a couple of episodes of Highway to Heaven. Now, like I said, I don't know if I said it on this one or the one that's gone, but I had Randy Shanofsky, the gentleman that reached out to Dana, I
Dana
believe.
Delaney, yeah.
Yes. And then reached out to you. And then I was driving my daughter home to Jersey, as a matter of fact. And I got a text and I was just like, what is this? Because it was just a number with no name. And it was you. I'm like, oh, shit, like that's awesome. So thank you to Randy Shanofsky, who also worked on Highway to Heaven as well. And a billion other things. His resume is second to none. The guy's just a great dude.
Thank you, Randy.
Yes, thank you, Randy, who also worked with you on China Beach and the Baby Doll Murders and several other things. But I asked him as well, and I have to ask you, how was it working with Michael Landon?
He was a fascinating character. And you know, he never fired anyone from any of his shows, from Highway to Heaven or from Little House on the Prairie. It was like a family, and there were some people who didn't get asked back, but they were allowed to, you know, live out their contract for 1 year.
Wow.
And these people would have taken a bullet for him.
Yeah.
And you know, him and Victor French was the one who directed the episode I was in, and I was like, you know, I was like a scared kid. That was my first big gig, and I was the, you know, I was the guest star on this 2-part thing called The Monster, where I had a big birthmark on my face, and people made fun of me, and then you know, a blind girl falls in love with me, and you know, so
Yeah.
and the first thing it was my first day of work, and it was a really emotional scene where I destroy this workshop that I have, and you know, it's like you only get one shot at that.
Yeah.
And so you know, and I'd been studying, and I worked myself into a froth and just like threw everything around. And then, and then Michael Landon's character shows up and says something to me, and I stop, and I'm just, just emotional mess. And then he knows that they've got the shot. And then he's looking across me and says, "What's all that shit on your face?"
Nice.
and 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 it was like I went, "Well, what did I do it wrong?" And then everyone laughed, and we moved on.
Yeah.
And then he had his publicist. We were working outside. It was up in some old mining community in Northern California, and we were standing around the craft service table and just shooting the shit and talking. And there was this guy, this skinny little guy dressed in a black suit, and it was sunny out, and he was walking down the hill toward us. I said, "Who's that? The Undertaker?"
Yeah.
And he said, "No, it's my publicity guy." And he walks up, and the first thing he says to him, he says, "Jeff thought you were an Undertaker." He just like busted him right there. So he was very funny. He was very sweet. And he spent about $1,000 on lottery tickets in 3 days, just like
Really?
scratching them off.
Nice. He seemed like, I mean, obviously I never met the guy or anything, but he just seemed like he would be like a nice guy. I don't know.
Nice guy, really nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. All right. So now China Beach, man. Prime time, just such a great show. It sounds weird for me to say, but like Vietnam is like my favorite war, like as far as like being interesting and stuff like that, I just find what the vets and what happened there, and just the things you had to go through in the jungle, all that. So I've read I don't know how many books about it and stuff like that. So China Beach was incredible, and the soundtrack. I mean, U.S. Dodger is just fucking great. Then they tried to bring a little soft side out of you later on with the baby and stuff like that. So yeah, man. I know it's been out now. I mean, several years now. The whole DVD. Can you even get the whole series on DVD? Probably on Amazon or something like that.
Yeah, you can, but it took a long time to get it because of the music rights.
Yes.
They couldn't put it out because they used so much source music, and
the soundtrack is incredible. Like, what a great set throughout the whole thing, So just off the top, we don't have to get too deep into it. Do you have anything that pops into your head as far as China Beach experiences? Highlights, the fun stuff, craziness.
It was the one of the best groups of people I've ever worked with. Everyone, the fact it was really a part of our country coming to terms with the fact that we'd been in that war, and that the people hadn't really treated the troops well when they came home.
Absolutely not.
And so it was like bringing that into people's living rooms in a way that, because the war was brought into people's living rooms. Growing up, in the 60s and the 70s, every night you would watch and see what the body count was.
Yeah.
And see how many troops had died. And they had, the reporters were able to embed with the troops, and there was no real stranglehold on what they said or what they reported.
Right.
And and the whole war was over when Walter Cronkite said it was over.
Yes.
When he said, when he got on the news that night, that was when everyone realized, it was a bad thing.
Yeah.
But China Beach was like, because everyone was committed to telling the true story emotionally, and representing these people who weren't able to represent themselves. There was a tremendous lack of ego.
Yeah.
And a tremendous amount of just generosity of spirit, generosity of heart. And we really had a lot of love for each other, and it shows in the in the product.
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that was done on that show was, John Wells was the showrunner for the last couple of years of it, and he took all of the camera kind of moves and storytelling that he learned there or helped develop there and took it to ER,
Right.
and then they took it to a whole other level of storytelling and moving cameras and all of that. So,
Yeah.
it was emotionally trying because I wasn't smart enough to really be able to separate myself from character at that time. But it
Okay.
was also emotionally freeing because, being in a war uh, in my imagination felt like being in my head in
Yeah.
reality.
Right.
Having a use for it was fantastic.
Nice. Hey, it comes in handy sometimes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, if for the people watching and listening, I mean, it's got to be. You could probably get it on like Amazon Prime or so. You might have to like pay per episode, or you could probably buy the seasons, or you could get the DVDs. But it definitely deserves a rewatch, especially if you watched it back when it aired. Like to rewatch it, it still holds up. It's an amazing soundtrack. I mean, your performance is amazing as well. So I mean, what else can I say? But it's a great show.
Dana Delaney at that time, she was like America's sweetheart, Colleen McMurphy. And just, and it was the first question out of everyone's mouth who recognized me from that show was, what's she really like? What's Dana like?
Yeah.
You say everyone wanted to be close to Dana.
Right. Yeah. I think Dana Delaney, and I automatically think Tombstone.
Right. Yeah.
Tombstone. Yeah. Like, it's like, yeah. So I'm a fan of movies and film and stuff like that. So once I realized that it was the conduit between Randy and you and me was Dana, I was like, that's crazy to me. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just cool stuff, man. Never in a million.
Well, it also speaks to the, the bonds that were forged in that time, because Dana and I are still in contact. We're still friends. And Chloe Webb and I, she was on the first season, and we ride horses together, and she does equine therapy now. And
wow.
Marg Helgenberger is someone I'm in touch with, and Michael Boatman, who's went on to Spin City and all kinds of shows. And there's just a lot of care that still exists for everyone.
That's great, man. You get those bonds, and like you said, it was like everybody together, and it's kind of like, I didn't even mean to even segue, but I've heard the same thing with the whole entire cast and everybody on The Walking Dead. I heard
that's the other show. Absolutely.
That's what I've heard, that everyone like just loves and appreciates, and it's so tight knit, and everyone's just cool with each other. Yeah.
And that I just have to say that Andrew Lincoln, I learned something about acting from him. Just that, he was number one on the call sheet, and he never complained. He was always 100% there, 110% there, whether he was working with you off camera or on camera. And he just like, the guy who's number one on the call sheet, he sets the tone.
Yeah.
And if he's not complaining, and he's been working 16-hour days, 16 weeks in a row, and you come on and you start, boo-hooing about having cold feet, it's not
happening, man. Like, we don't want to hear you crying, bro. You're in a zombie apocalypse. I've been through this shit for I don't know how many episodes and seasons, and you're gonna come in and you're gonna start crying. Stop it.
So
it's not gonna fly, man.
I salute him, and and his big heart and his talent. God, he's so talented.
Yeah, and it's so. I was recently talking to somebody. I don't remember who it was. Doesn't even make a difference. But it's just like, I'm fascinated as well with people who have strong like foreign accents, or like an English accent or something, but then they're in like, Atlanta and Georgia somewhere, and you would never ever think that these people, and like I would watch like an episode of The Talking Dead after walking, and like Andrew Lincoln will be on, or somebody from the show, or Lauren Cohen, and they have these crazy British accents. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you do that? And you have all this dialogue, and you're back and forth, and you're yelling, and all this stuff. Like, it doesn't even come out. Like, you would never even think. I find that shit fascinating for some whatever reason, man.
Yeah, they're just better actors. They learn how to do that stuff. We just learn how to emote here in the US.
Yeah.
Just have some feelings and then say them.
Right. I don't know, man, because I don't know. Like I said, I find that stuff interesting. Why? No idea. But so now I have to talk to you a little bit about your role as Patrick Channing in The First Power. Do you get asked about The First Power often?
You know what? Last week I was they had a blood drive, a local blood drive, and I went into this trailer and gave my blood, and the guy who was, he was like he was a very large Hispanic gentleman with lots of tattoos, and he was like, "You an actor, man?" And yeah. I said, "Oh, I thought so," and he talked about just being frightened when he was a kid, of that movie. And that was the movie that made him stop watching horror films.
This gigantic Spanish guy with tattoos is scared now.
Yeah. And so when I left, because we had a really nice conversation, and when I left, I said, "See you around, buddy boy." That was like the
tagline. I know.
Yeah. And so I said, "I don't do that for anyone, man." So I just,
see you around, buddy boy.
People still remember it. Yeah.
I remember it. I've seen that movie I don't know how many times. I'm not going to say that I'm like the biggest Lou Diamond Phillips fan. I'm not going to really say that. But your role, like you're that movie to me personally. And I'm not going to say that I was scared watching it. I'm so desensitized to all that stuff. I was watching horror movies by myself in the movie theater in Brooklyn at like 6 years old. So I'm like, whatever. But what I did find super creepy, and still to this day, is when you say the prayer in reverse.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, dude.
I said I learned the entirety of the Lord's Prayer in reverse.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. Because that'll mess you up, man.
Dude, it sounds so creepy, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get that one out of my system.
Yeah, it's super creepy. It's not scary. It's just like you say it, and it's just like, and it just flows out of you so smooth. It's like, it just don't sound right, man.
And that was my first night of work, and it was in a cave up in Griffith Park by the zoo here in Los Angeles. And
okay.
And I was just, I think I was stripped to the waist and about to, carve up my latest victim.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. What is it? We're just gonna go. What is it? We're just going to go through a very small tour here.
Okay.
Here, and you touch her forehead, and then you start saying this shit in reverse. It's the creepiest part of the movie, man. But yeah, super, like, I don't know. It's not like a gigantic, huge blockbuster movie, but for me, like, your role is like iconic to me. Like horror, creepy dudes. Patrick Channing's up there, man. 100%.
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. That's hilarious. Yeah, don't do that. I can't. I tried. I'm listening to it, but it just doesn't come out. I was actually going to write it down and say it to you, but he probably would have yelled at me.
Yeah, I went to it. There was a witchcraft shop in Los Angeles at that time.
Okay.
And I went there and checked out some stuff, and and that character was based on Richard Ramirez.
Yes, the Night Stalker.
And Richard Ramirez was on trial just before we shot that movie, and I went to part of his trial.
You were there? You were in the courtrroom with that guy?
I was in the courtroom.
Holy shit!
Richard
Talk
Ramirez.
to me about that. I need to hear.
It was. I just a little bit chilly just talking about it.
Yeah.
He had the personal affect of, a kid who got busted for breaking out the windows in the school gymnasium, like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
He had no conception of the magnitude of his evil or his
Yeah.
crimes. And there's this thing that, he was sitting up on the left and I was sitting back on the right. And the when the courtroom door would open, he would turn around and look to see who was coming in. Because it's like trials go on forever and they're boring, and he was just bored and he was just like, and one time he turned around and we locked eyes.
Oh shit! You had a moment with the Night Stalker, man.
I had a moment with the Night
That's
Stalker.
insane.
And it was like looking into emptiness. It was
Man.
it was just they were like the eyes seemed to be like saucers in my in my
Yeah. Yeah.
memory of it.
Wow.
And just the banality of evil. And here's what I realized about, because we were talking earlier about meditation, and that you move back and forth from being human to being divine, and you go
Right.
back and forth between the two. So there's a desire in us to be God.
Yeah.
And he attacked elderly women. He would lock himself in the house with them. And for however many hours he kept them alive, he was God. And so that's like that's like twisting what's in all of us and finding an experience of power without regard to what it does to someone else and without regard to life, because he's clearly a sociopath.
Sure.
He can't feel what someone else feels. But it was that need for power that we all have, but that those of us who are sane look for it in social structure, and look for it in our connection to something greater than ourselves.
Right.
The whole 12 steps are about connecting to a power greater than ourselves, so we're not at the mercy of that small self.
Right.
So what he was doing was just he got to be God for those times, and that's what got him off. And
So crazy. Did you happen to watch the whole Netflix miniseries on him?
I did not. No, because I had my fill of serial killers. I know everything there
Oh
is.
my God. It's like I
Because
find people think I'm nuts because I find that stuff fascinating, but they're like, oh,
yeah,
what are you, crazy? I'm like, no, I'm the furthest thing from crazy. What I do find fascinating is what makes people tick. It's like,
yeah,
like it's different childhoods, different social status, different this, different that. But then there's that X factor that makes these people do shit that they do. It's like, what clicked and what is it? Like from Dahmer to Gacy to Ramirez to even like somebody like Charles Manson, who wasn't necessarily a mass murderer or serial killer himself, but he was a cult. He had control over these people and like all of this mental stuff. Like that's the stuff that I find fascinating. Not necessarily that these pieces of shit killed people. It's not that.
yeah.
It's what makes them tick. So but I watched that, and there was one on which, growing up in Brooklyn, I was a little bit too young to actually remember it happening, but I've heard a billion stories and people who knew people who were killed from David Berkowitz, the son of Sam.
Son of Sam, yeah.
Yeah, the 44 caliber killer, which is just an insane friggin' moniker. But it's called Sons of Sam, and it's on Netflix, and that opened up a whole new perspective on that whole shit show that was. Oh, it's one person, but it's super fascinating stuff, and it's I don't know. But for you to be in the courtroom during the trial of Richard Ramirez is heavy shit to me.
Yeah, it was, and
And Patrick Channing was based on him.
Yeah, that Bob Resnikoff wrote the script and directed the movie, and he studied like occult sort of teachings, and the first power was being able to jump bodies.
Yes.
Take this soul and jump into someone else's body, and and he studied that, and he studied serial killers, and he pulled it all together into that ultra creepy movie.
Yeah.
And there were more people hurt on the set of that movie than any other project I've ever worked on.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah.
Coincidence? I think not.
I think not. Yeah.
Really? Well, it's not funny that you say that, but it just makes me think like all of the horrific things that happened on the set of like The Exorcist. Like that's well documented. So people dying, sets burning down, like people getting hurt, like a lot of stuff happened on the set of surrounding The Exorcist.
So here's what I know about darkness. If you look for it, you can find it.
Sure.
If you see darkness simply as the absence of light, and you insist on bringing light to wherever you go, then darkness flees.
It's you know what? It's very simply put, but it makes absolute complete sense to me.
Yeah.
Look at that. Crazy. I'm still kind of bugging out in my head that I'm actually speaking with you, by the way, just letting you know. So now I'm just gonna random, I won't hold you hostage for too much longer. How was it working with old Chuck Norris there, that guy? Walker, Texas Ranger.
I love Chuck. He was, he was so funny. I can't tell you all the stories, but I was always the shitty boyfriend or the shitty husband, and then either Chuck would beat me up or kill me, or the wife would learn how to beat me up and kill me, because I did, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 of those things.
Yes.
And I was in one, the very first his first season, and we were working in a high school, and he got pissed off about something, and he punched a locker, and he said, "I don't need this shit. I have a career in feature films." And it was like, it was just a moment of like seeing, what Chuck Norris would do.
Yeah.
That it was just, I was the only one there to see it. It was fantastic. But the great thing, about that, they did a pilot. They did the pilot for that show, and CBS hated it. And so they just ran it off in the dead of summer when no one would watch it. It got extraordinary numbers.
Yeah.
But they'd already let go of it. So they had to buy their way into making it a series. And so Chuck and his brother ended up making probably 2 or 3 times as much as they would have on their own.
Really?
Yeah, if CBS had kept it going. So
Yeah.
it was a great thing for him and his family.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was wondering. And then there's that scene. It's just like, oh, I watched it, was it yesterday, I believe. You have a scene in The Shield, and it's fucking brutal with the condom thing. It wasn't rape, that whole friggin' dude.
Oh man, I must have been in a blackout, because I kind of remember that.
Yeah. Oh god. Well,
I think it was one day. I think I did one day.
Yeah, yeah, and it was a scene, and it was just this fucking horrible scene. It's like, God, man, to put yourself in a mental state in order to do this, I don't know, man, but you pulled it off. You could actually, I won't get into the whole thing, but if people, if you want, just Google Jeff Kober, The Shield, and it's there. It's like a 5-minute snippet of like, God, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it early in the day.
Yeah, please. How about the movie Sully, man?
I got to work with Clint.
That's crazy, man.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, you've worked with, listen, you've worked with a whole slew of like legendary.
I've been a very fortunate man, absolutely.
A whole
Clint,
slew.
Clint. So here's my Clint Eastwood story. There's a part of the scene where I'm Sully's first flight instructor when he's 16 years old, and so there's this kid who's, I don't think he's ever acted, and he's playing Sully as a kid.
Yeah.
And so there's me and then the kid, and then the camera, a steady cam. And the steady cam is raking across him onto me. And so we have to keep a very clear lineup. And so we start walking and talking, and I notice I'm getting covered by the kid. So I step forward just a little bit, and then the kid steps forward to match me. And then I step forward a bit, and the kid steps forward to match me. And and so we get to the end of the scene, and Clint comes over. He says, "Okay, so you just come over here and you look at the tire, and you just, then you just start talking, and then and he takes me by the arm. He says, then you just walk over here and you do this, and he says, look what I'm doing to you. This is why I became a director, so no one could do this to me."
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then he said, then we lined up again and he talked to the kid for a little bit, and then we lined up for the shot again, and here's how he says action. He says, "Okay, Jeff, whenever you're ready." It's like that, and then no one ever yells cut. They go, yeah, we're done. They just walk away. And if you're walking away from camera, no one tells you you're done. You just keep walking, and you'll run out of runway at some point.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's weird. That's cool though. It's like,
it's just like it was such a no sweat kind of a set. Just like, we're making a movie. Don't sweat it. Come on.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty cool approach. If you feel like there's no pressure on you, there's no one barking at you.
Yeah, no barking.
And it's Clint Eastwood.
I worked with, my first dialogue job was on this thing called Remington Steele.
I remember Remington Steele.
And Henry Hathaway was the director, and he was known. He look him up. He did a lot of old westerns.
Okay.
A lot of old films, and he was known as the yeller. He yelled all the time, and he yelled at some girl. It was an extra atmosphere. And he just yelled at her. What the hell do you think? You're. Oh, she was playing it was a farm that was being auctioned off because her husband had died. He says, "Don't smile, God damn it! You lost your husband." And she's just like, he's yelling at her, and I had to chew tobacco and spit. And one of my favorite lines, "Well, now there's a pretty little thing."
Nice. Oh shit. So. Oh man. Do you mind if I shout out my sponsors real quick?
Go ahead.
Jeff, are you a coffee guy?
I am.
Maybe this is right up your alley then. One of the sponsors of the Brooklyn Blast Furnace podcast is a company called Dead Sled Coffee, DEADSLED Coffee. You can follow them on Instagram at Dead Sled Coffee. If you go to deadsledcoffee.com and you type in the promo code Brooklyn Blast, you'll get 20% off of your order, and any order $60 or more is free domestic shipping. So thank you for Dead Sled Coffee. The second one it's local. A store called Generation Records, located at 210 Thompson Street here in the West Village in New York City. You follow them on Instagram as well at Generation Records. If you cannot make it to the actual brick and mortar spot, they have an eBay page, and you can go to generationrecords.bigcartel.com and order stuff online from them. They've been around since 1992. They survived this whole pandemic thing. Their doors are open. So support small, independent mom and pop businesses. Third, New Republic Printing for screen printing, embroidery, vinyl stickers, buttons. You follow them as well on Instagram at New Republic Printing. If you go to newrepublicprinting.net, there's a drop-down menu of all the brands of clothing, whether it's t-shirts, windbreakers, hoodies, zip-ups, whatever you want. You pick that, you get whatever you want printed on them. The best thing about New Republic Printing is there's no setup fees, there are no screen fees, and if you have your order shipped to any commercial address, it is free UPS ground shipping. So you can get 1,000 Patrick Channing t-shirts created and have 50 boxes delivered to your job, and it doesn't cost you a nickel extra. So Dead Sled Coffee, New Republic Printing, and Generation Records. Thank you. All small businesses. Support them. Thanks, Jeff.
That covers the three main food groups, doesn't it?
Yeah, man. Music, coffee, and clothing. I don't know. Yeah. Now, I do want to talk to you about however much you want to talk to me about it. I find it awesome. The look of it, the whole thing. You do tintype photography.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wish that I was there or you were over here because I would love this face.
Yeah, yeah, it would be great, and it's there's a place. My guy, my friend Jeffrey Berliner he is the manager of Penumbra Foundation. It's on 35th, I believe, on the east side, and it's a foundation dedicated to uh, uh, analog photography.
Okay.
You
Huh.
know, and I've had my tintype taken there a few times, and I've taken class. Joni Sternbach, who's got book, she's got a book out that's all surfers. She tintyped all these surfers around the world.
Really?
Uh, I've worked with her there. Um, Lisa Elmaleh is someone who teaches out of there. I've worked with her, and tintype photography is this. It's like daguerreotypes came first in like 1841, and then 1851 this was invented, and you're basically taking a sheet of metal that's been blackened, and you're turning it into a piece of film.
Yeah.
And it's called wet plate collodion because they use collodion in the which is dissolved cotton in the uh, emulsion, and you have to shoot the picture while the plate is still wet. So you have to make the plate, take the picture, develop the plate, and then fix the plate all at the same time. So it's like a very long Polaroid,
Wow.
and it brings a whole level of experience of chance into the process again, which you lose with digital.
Of course.
Because in post you can fix anything, and make it
Yeah.
look any way you want it. But you get the light right, and you get the pose right if you're taking a portrait, and if you get your chemistry right and the timing right, it's the length of exposure is anywhere from half a second to 12 seconds to 30 seconds, so and it depends
Wow.
on what time of day it is, what color the light is, and
Yeah.
so it's this fascinating crapshoot of just challenge, and it's something you can never perfect, and everyone should have something that they can never perfect.
Sure.
You know,
100%.
because then you get to if you ever want to, if you ever get too arrogant, you can just humble yourself by trying to take a good tintype and just
Right. There you go.
there's so many ways to screw it up.
Nice. So what like were you into photography before you started doing this? Like what got you into tintype specifically?
Well, going on location, I started doing photography because I had to have something to do during the downtime,
Sure.
and then I became a meditation teacher about 15 years ago, and I wanted to be able to see if I could capture something that you can't see with your naked eyes, if I could capture it on film.
Mhm.
So I knew I couldn't do that digitally, so I got a large format camera, and then I didn't have a dark room, but you can kind of do tintype without, you can have just a really small darkroom. So, and you don't have to go to a lab. You don't have to mess with anyone else. It's just right there. And so I started doing tintype because I was able to do it all myself. And, I'm kind of a loner in that way. And
Yeah.
then, I started taking pictures of people meditating, and then it developed from there. And,
Yeah. That's awesome. And you have a website. It's jeff-kober.com.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
there's
and that's
your
for acting and meditation and photography. Yeah.
yes. So people go check that out because I was perusing your website as well. Another thing, I won't get into details, but follow my new Instagram account.
Oh my God, isn't that a drag?
Yeah, let me tell you something, man. I have that account. I had that account for like 7 years.
Oh no.
Yeah, almost 5,000 people. Like, I don't buy followers. I don't pay for advertising. I just do this, and it just grew and grew and whatever. Make a long story short, to the people at home, I was regular texting you through phone numbers, blah blah blah. Setting this up and whatever, confirming this, and then I go to I take a picture of it's a self portrait, looks tintype portrait of you, and I share that to my Instagram story. And I mentioned your Instagram page, and next thing you know, one thing leads to another, and my page is hacked, and I'm locked out of it. So
I still haven't got mine back.
So unbelievable.
It's owned by someone in Lagos, Nigeria.
So is mine, because we have something in common. Like, both of our accounts are controlled by the same asshole.
And apparently, if you buy Bitcoin from him,
don't.
Yeah, that's like the Lord's Prayer backwards. Don't do that.
Right, don't do that. So I created a new account because I'm not thinking that Instagram is going to do anything about it. So I just wish at this point that my old account would just be removed. I know a whole bunch of people unfollowed it because they're getting all these messages and they knew it was hacked. And a lot of people have been reporting it, and hopefully it gets reported enough where it actually gets taken down, because now there's 2 podcast Instagrams. The old one, I'm just going to put it out there. The old one is at the Brooklyn Blast Furnace. If you happen to be watching or listening to this and you follow it, unfollow that one and follow the new one. It's pretty much almost the same. It's at the Brooklyn Blast Furnace podcast. That's the new one. The other one doesn't have podcast on the end. This one does. I have no control over the other one, the same as Jeff has no control over his.
Yeah, and people write you and go like, do you know that your account's been hacked?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think you should really be aware of what's going on with your account. Yeah, I'm aware. Well, you should do something about it. Yep, I should.
Yeah, and I did. I reported it. I wrote Instagram. I have people, as I'm talking with you, someone's messaging me, did you report it to Instagram? What do you think I did? 4 days ago, when I watched it happen in front of my face, I was reporting it. Like,
my apologies, man.
It's not your fault. It's some dude in Nigeria, some loser who has nothing else better to do. It's not your fault. So follow the new Instagram at the Brooklyn Blast Furnace podcast. And in the link in that bio is a link tree. You touch that, and then everything comes up where you can find this: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, the whole deal. But I wish that you had an Instagram, but I'm not going to say what it is.
Yeah, don't. I just I'll get one again. I'm waiting until all this plays itself out. But in about a month, I have a book coming out.
Really?
That'll be available on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. It's called Embracing Bliss.
Okay.
108 daily meditations, but Embracing Bliss is the title. And so look for that in about a month.
Awesome. On Amazon. I will purchase it. I will absolutely purchase it.
And then write a good review, and then I'll write one for yours when it comes out.
Nice.
I'm sure you've got enough material.
I do. Yeah. What for my book? Listen, real quick. Way back, your episode 251, I believe I said, right? I lose track at this point. But episode 49, I did kind of like a life story thing, very raw. It was literally into my phone. You hear dings and stuff. I didn't know how to set the thing where like a text message comes in, you hear it ding, whatever. But you hear me pouring coffee and I'm talking and I have bullet points, and it's about 2.5 hours. And I go through everything from when I was born, where I was born, everything up to the current moment at the time. Good, bad, ugly, embarrassing, funny, sad, everything.
Wow.
Once I put that out, I can't even tell you how many emails, phone calls, text messages, people telling me that it needs to be a screenplay. And then people wanted to know more about certain things. So episode 49 is Jimmy Ferrari Life and Times, and then episode 50 is something, and then episode 51 is part 2, where I get into more details about certain things that I kind of touched on the first one, because I even said, like, I could talk about rehab, but that could be a 3-hour podcast in and of itself. The things that happened and the people.
You went to rehab?
I did. Yeah. On my own, voluntarily. I walked in. Yeah, man. Yeah, I was in bad shape for a while, man. Everyone who listens to this knows this. I'm an open book. At this point, I have nothing to fucking hide, man. I walked in. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but I'm not even sure if they're really a thing anymore, but they were called Daytop. Daytop. We used to say that it stood for doing a year telling on people, but it's Daytop. It was Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation Center. I started out. It's called, what was it called? It was called Entry. And that lasted like 2 to 3 weeks in a small facility in Far Rockaway here in Queens. And then there was 3 main treatment houses upstate, one in Parksville, Swan Lake, and Rhinebeck, New York, all upstate. And you waited there until they gave you whatever house you were assigned to. I wound up going to Springwood. I was up in Springwood for 13 months to the day.
Wow.
In Maine upstate treatment. And then from there, you graduate there, and then you go back down to re-entry, which is the same exact facility, where you get a job and blah, blah, blah. Then they let you, and they give you like privileges and stuff like that. And I was voluntarily, I could have walked anytime I wanted to.
Right.
But I'm going to say probably about 75% of the people there were mandated through jail. And if they completed the program, like whatever time they had hanging over their head would be exonerated. I seen people who were so institutionalized go there and do stupid shit and then go back to jail because jail was easier for them. Like there was I mean, there's stories I could talk for hours just about it. One of my best friends, he's like my brother, I met there. I still talk to him all the time. And it's sad, some people have prospered and became stuff and remained sober. And then I heard of people, they graduated the whole thing, and 6 months later they went back to doing what they were doing and they had a heart attack, or they died, or they OD'd, or who's doing life in jail for murder because what's wrong with you, man? But yeah, I walked in April Fool's Day 2004. I walked in.
Damn.
How ironic is that? It was April Fool's Day. It was the smartest thing I ever did.
Mine was the day before New Year's Eve, 1985.
I was 9.
Yeah, I was older.
Yeah, I was 9. Yeah, and it was mostly alcohol. It's mostly alcohol for the most part. I mean, it was always the pot, and it was a little bit of blow, and the blah blah, but it was majority alcohol. I was lush. Yeah, it was bad. But listen, things happen. You go through things, you learn from them. I bumped my head once. I did. I had about 7 years completely sober. And then I'm not blaming it on anything else. It's my actions, but a lot of shit. Like my mother died and I was getting divorced. There was like 4 or 5 insane, literally life-changing things that happened. And I got a case of the fuckets and I went nuts for like 3 years. Yeah. So my new sober date is October 1st. It's always the 1st for some reason. October 1st, 2014 was the last time I had a sip of anything or did anything. I drink coffee. I drink probably too much Red Bull. But other than that, other than that, I'm a sober guy. And every day I try to keep my temper and my knee-jerk reactionary stupid shit at bay. I try.
That's
You know?
fantastic, man. That's
Yeah,
really
man.
so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, it is what it is. And I occupy myself, what is that expression? Idle time is the devil's workshop or something like that, they say.
Idle hands
I
are the
don't,
devil's
yes.
workshop. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a regular job and I work, and I have my daughter on weekends for the most part. But other than that, this is what I do. I create flyers for this and I promote this and I do this, and I keep myself busy. And this is something that I legitimately enjoy. And
Yeah, and
honestly,
so you're really good at it too, man. Because your enjoyment of it comes through.
that I appreciate that, man. I've heard that before, but then I always say, like, I don't know, I'm just being me. I don't know. But I appreciate that. And yeah.
David Hawkins, who was an enlightened teacher and a psychiatrist, said, "We change the world not by what we do, but by what we have become."
Huh.
So you're an example of that.
I guess I am, huh?
Yeah. So it's just being you. That's your job, man.
Yeah,
Just be you and keep making you better, and it's and everything keeps moving upward.
that's right. We all have peaks and valleys, but for the most part, but listen, I laugh at myself all the time. I joke around all the time. It's like, obviously there's time and place for certain things, but yeah, man, I just try to be a happy guy,
With a colorful history.
with a very colorful history.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I would not be opposed to if somebody wanted to make a movie about my life. Listen, I'm all in. You know what I mean? Or write a book. I mean, I see, but I'm crazy as far as like not OCD, but I'm very anal retentive when it comes to certain things. It would take me 35 years to write a book because it would have to be in the right order. And then as soon as I was done and I'm finished, there's a huge chunk that I would, you know what I mean? Like that I forgot, and it would drive me nuts and I wouldn't be satisfied with it. So I don't know, man. Any ghost writers out there, or anybody who wants to make a movie or write about me, listen to episode 49 and 51 and get back to me. Cause I'm all in.
Fantastic.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well,
Well, I
dude.
look forward to seeing the screenplay.
Oh, listen, will you come to the premiere?
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. You're
I'll be able
VIP.
to say I was there. I was there when it started.
That's right. I would give you all the credit in the world. All the credit and the accolades go right to Jeff Kober, the guy that made this happen. That would be a fucking surreal moment. Jeff, thank you so much, man. I won't hold you hostage anymore. This was awesome. And like I said before, I appreciate your time. And stay in touch, man. I'll text you with exactly what date this is going to come out. It's always on a Friday at noon Eastern time. I'll text you the date. But yeah, man, stay in touch. And I don't know if you're probably, I don't know how active you are on Facebook, but I sent you a friend request on there. I don't know if you're full or whatever, but since we can't communicate on Instagram.
No Instagram communication here.
Right. Yeah. So I'll be able to tag you in the thing and blah, blah, blah when it comes out. I don't know if you're on.
I'll watch for that. Yeah. And stay in touch. It was really a pleasure, man.
Dude.
Good to meet you.
Awesome to meet you as well, man. Likewise.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
See ya.
What is it? See you around, buddy boy.
See you later, buddy boy. See you around, buddy boy. Is that what it is? See you around, buddy boy? That's what it is. See you around, buddy boy.
That's right. Later, brother.